So Lord, we thank you in advance. Get ready.
Good God morning. Welcome to the Solutions. You have tuned into another episode. I am your host, Minister Corey Wright. As always, we know what the problems are. We know we need to solve them. What I offer on this platform is solutions, dedicated acts of action that bring about true change, not just talked about change. And as always, no excuses. Excuses are man's tools of incompetence that build bridges to nowhere and monuments of nothing. People of God, I have an announcement and I have to repent. My announcement is, well, first let me repent. You know, my pastor, let me repent. I want to send my sincere apologies to Tanisha Black Butterfly and to her husband. I am a writer. I apologize for offending you guys. I never meant to do that. You know, I was just a little upset that the artist was late, but you're right. That has nothing to do with you guys. You booked them. They gave you your word and they didn't show. You're absolutely right. I was totally wrong for calling you out on the air. So I'm apologizing to you on the air. Again, I am a writer. I understand your position. That's your wife. You got to defend her and let no one say anything wrong. And again, I apologize sincerely from my heart. You guys are amazing talent. Tanisha Butterfly, you set the standard on my show. You were the first artist I asked on my show for spoken word. Okay. You set record numbers in the thousands. I am a writer. You're amazing talent. Your CD number 2, I am a writer, is the greatest spoken word piece I've ever heard. I use it to open up my show. Both of you guys are tremendous talents. Now, my announcement is from this day on, I have to cancel Spoken Word Thursday, Speak Your Soul Thursday. But I love the spoken word community, and I want to keep this a platform for you guys. So if any one of you guys want to be on the show, you're welcome to pay for the hour, which is $50 an hour. That way, if you decide not to come or you're late, I have nothing to say because it's paid for. I just cannot eat the cost anymore for artists not being late, and I don't want to offend anybody again. I don't want to out of context. So spoken word artists, you're still welcome on my show. You just feel free. You can pay for the hour, which is $50 an hour. And that way you can come whenever you want to come. You can talk about all the content you want to talk about, as long as it's clean. And you can do all the pieces you want. And if you want to do it. So people of God, again, I apologize for my, if I offended you guys are enormous talent. The sky's the limit. I pray kingdom blessings over both of you guys, and I'll see you guys at the top. But people of God, again, you're welcome to do spoken word on my show. $50 a show. Therefore, you have paid for the show, and it's your hour. And I'll make sure that you have the hour, and you can do what you want on the hour. People of God, thank you for your support and continue to support us. Thank you. Now, Hercules. Let me get to my special guest here. I got my pastor, Robert Sams II, and I have his fiancee, Minister Jasmine. And today we are going to talk about generational dysfunction called the Adam families. But I'm going to let them open up their statement and introduce themselves, which you already know these guys, and then we'll go proceed with it.
Before I introduce myself, let me say, can you hear me? Before I introduce myself, let me say that was awesome to actually have the heart. Oh, there we go. So let me start from top again. Before I introduce ourselves, I must say, let me just, it's commendable that you have the heart to do that openly and honestly, and it makes you accountable. And I think it's amazing, and it really does speak. I'm not really tooting my own horn, but it really does speak of the ministry, because we do teach when you have done wrong, however, in whatever form you've done it in, that's the same form that you need to repent or ask for forgiveness in. So I applaud you for that. It shows that there is no pride there. It shows that you've done it sincerely. So I applaud you for that, man. That's great. That's great, because when you understand that you have to be integral in all that you do, your platform remains open, and your platform remains a good foundation for you to build upon and be who God has called you to be. So I applaud you for that. All right. Well, I am y'all. I guess I've been on here enough to.
I know him. Y'all know him.
To say, Pastor Robert E. Sams II, a senior pastor of Destiny Worship Life Changing Center. We are located 7959 Southwestern Avenue in Chicago, where we have no more church as usual, where God is always present and there in the place because we bring him with us. We come expecting, looking for God to do what he wants to do, where healing takes place, where deliverance takes place, where salvation happens, where people have an encounter with God like they've never had before. People, like Pastor T always said, we've had people come to say, nah, this can't be like this. I'm going to come again the second time and see if it's like this. And they actually find out that it's like that the second, third, and fourth time. So our endeavor is just to change lives, just to show people who God really is, without any religions, without any restrictions, without any boxes, without any, even outside of the walls of the church, that we become the church. And that's just who we are. I think we're ministry like none other, and everybody should think their ministries like that, like none other. And I think that God has given us a platform and space and time, and he's made provisions for us to be who he wants us to be for such a time as this. And I believe that the lives that I see change really is what's the most effective thing for me in ministry. So, all right. And you are a wonderful, lovely lady.
No, I'm just kidding. He almost put me to sleep. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm Dr. J, Minister Jasmine, Minister Jazz. That's me here for the second time. Y'all should be well acquainted with Pastor Robert because he lives here practically. But I'm excited that Minister Corey had thought enough of me, my small self, to come back again. So I'm just excited. I'm excited.
I must say I'm excited that she's here with me. I look for these things that we do together, so I'm just glad that she's here, and what she brings to the table is awesome, man. She's awesome in her own right, and I'm just happy for what she brings to the table and what she does for me.
It's amazing because so many people think you guys are a nice looking couple.
Really?
One person said on there, they look like grown baby dolls.
Oh, well, thank you.
Right. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the series and what made you guys do this.
Oh, honestly, Minister Corey, it was all based on a conversation. Honestly, it was him speaking his truth on his family, me speaking my truth on my family, and different things that we recognize and we can pinpoint. And we just kind of put the pieces together, but we didn't know as we began to talk and create dialogue, we were putting together information and like tools and like sermons and like instructions and teaching. Like it just happened accidentally, like just him being open and me being open. So that's really what triggered it. Like,
and the amazing part about it is when we were just sitting and talking, we didn't realize we were putting something together to actually help people. We were really talking to help ourselves and to identify things and to relate to each other and to, so we can show where we've been and the mistakes we've made in life and old relationships and things like that. And then after a while, it was like, we should bring this to the church and help the people out.
Yeah.
And when we did the first day, it was amazing that people were literally weeping in our service and crying and taking off work and things of that sort. And it really, really helped people. And we didn't think when we even decided that we were going to bring it to the church it would hit so hard, that it would heal so many, and that it would help so many. And seeing that it did, it's like, oh wow, this was actually needed. Yeah. And so many people in the service in the church said, how many pastors and how many leaders would just, forget regular order service and just sit down and actually have this dialogue with a church to heal people and to help people.
Wow. I had to, you talking about me, I had to say, I'm going to be, I got to stay here. I'm going to be like, it was so impactful because I was in there and I was literally almost in tears.
Oh, wow.
And moved. And it's so needed in the church. What was your feeling after that first day? What did you guys think after that first day?
Well, let me tell you what happened. After the first day, everybody left the church. We just sat in the sanctuary and talked for like 30 extra minutes, just us two. And we said, oh my God, we didn't realize that it was going to be that impactful. We were so surprised. We thought we were just going to do like I told her 25 minutes, no more than 30 minutes, we're going to be done. We was up there for an hour and a half, and people had questions and people wanted answers and people were needed clarity on some things. But we just sat in the church after everybody left. We just sat there and looked at each other like, wow, we didn't know it was going to help in the way that it did.
Yeah, it was really confirmation that that just wasn't a conversation or a dialogue by accident. That conversation was a segue to penetrate people's lives and penetrate people's situations and their upbringing, their homes, and just it was a purposeful conversation to really target people's lives. And yes, that's what it was.
Yes.
Now, before we get into it, let me ask you guys one question. You guys to be for some Fridays to make sure we get this full thing out. What do you want ultimately to happen to the people watching this and listen to this broadcast? What do you want them to accomplish?
Ultimately, I would like for, and it's going to come more out as we begin to give or read from our information. But ultimately, I just really want people to recognize that there is something that comes through our bloodline, and it's up to you. It's up to our parents. It's up to everyone has responsibility in our family, but it's up to us to recognize what exactly that is that goes through our bloodline and attack it and annihilate it and assassinate it. However, don't give attention to it, but starve it. And that we have so much more power than we give ourselves as far as what we're in control of. But more than anything, I want people to recognize that, yes, even though a negative situation was created around you, you don't have to stay there. Yes, this may run in your family. It may say that all the guys on this side of the family are nothings, are nobodies, are deadbeats. But that's not the final say for you. Like it doesn't lie there. However, I want them to know that there's so much truth, and you have to go back to go forward sometimes, even with asking questions as far as your grandparents, your own parents. So that's just what I feel.
I totally agree with that. That's our endeavor. It's also our endeavor to make sure that we can allow people to identify dysfunction in their lives, in their families, in their homes, and do something about it.
Yeah.
Fix it. Because a lot of times, I'm trying not to talk too much, but a lot of times we get familiar with dysfunction. And getting familiar with it, it becomes our lifestyle, and it becomes regular to us. It becomes just something that's just the norm for us. And if we can identify what the, if we can identify what the dysfunction is, if you can identify what the dysfunction is, course of things, when it comes not only to you, but when it comes to your seed, your children, your children's children as well.
Wow. Well, we're ready for your first points, and I know it's about to be good. People of God, buckle up, because you in for a treat.
Thank you for having us again. So what I'm going to do is read a couple of scriptures in Genesis the 12th chapter, Genesis the 26th chapter, and Genesis the 27th chapter. And a lot of times we read scripture, but we don't see the patterns in scriptures. We don't see a lot of times what happened with families and the connections between a father, a son, and a grandson. So I want to read Genesis the 12th chapter, the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th verse. It says, "And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near into Egypt, that he said unto Sarah his wife, Behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon." Verse 12, "Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me. But they will save thee alive." Verse 13, "Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my son shall live because of thee." So that's now Abram in Genesis 12. We're going to go to Genesis 26. We're going to read the first, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th verse. And it says, watch this. "And there was a famine in the land."
Okay.
All right. And beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. "And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the men of the place asked him of his wife." Same situation, same scenario that a father had. Now his son is having the same situation. "And he said, She is my sister, for he feared to say, She is my wife, lest said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon." Verse 8 of Genesis 26 says, "And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, looked out of a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. Last verse, verse 9. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, behold, of a surety, she is thy wife. And how sayest thou, she is my sister? And Isaac said unto him, because I said, lest I die for her. So now we see the father and the son, same situation. Now let's look at the grandson in Genesis 27, the grandson of Abram. 27, verse 5, 6, 7, 18, 19, 20, and 24. Verse 5, and Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. Verse 6, and Rebekah said unto Jacob her son, saying, behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy father, saying, verse 7, bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord before my death. Verse 18, 19, 20, and 24, and he said unto his father, and said, my father. And he said, here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that my soul may bless me. And verse 20, and Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. Verse 24, last verse. And he said, art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am.
Okay, so based on the passage that Pastor Rob just read, you can see that not only one, your identity comes from your parents, it comes from your father, it comes from your mother. Everyone in that passage that Pastor Rob just read, they had a problem with being deceitful. They had a problem with lying. They struggled with telling the truth. And sometimes the initial act, let's say in this instance, them lying wasn't the complete issue. However, the big issue was that everyone from the father to the son had a struggle with lying, but nobody identified that, hey, we all struggle with lying. Sometimes not identifying the issue is the biggest problem, not necessarily the act itself. Sometimes we are so unaware of what is passed down through us, through our bloodlines. Just like in the past, they were so unaware, they were oblivious. Like no one was able to pinpoint, wait, I'm acting just like daddy. Wait, I'm acting just like, wait, he did the same thing. And now I'm like, so we're so ignorant sometimes that we don't recognize the seeds of dysfunction until it begins to grow, until it begins to develop. There are a lot of traits that we just like to attribute to, well, I'm like this and this is just the way I am. But in reality, it was the fact that you accepted seeds of dysfunction, and when you accepted those seeds, it just began to grow and fester in your life. It began to grow, it began to develop, it began to create its roots so deep within you that you can't even, for one, get them out. And it creates a false denial when you know it's there, but you're kind of lying to yourself like, oh no, that's not, well, this is just me, this is just, and we create so many excuses and so many false logics of why we're the way we are. But the truth is that seeds of dysfunction was planted and we entertained it, we watered them. So the title of this whole dialogue is what we like to call it, is the Addams Family. And the reason why we called it the Addams Family is because I can remember as a child watching the Addams Family, and you will have a mother who she just don't look really normal. You know, her makeup from, her makeup itself, it's a bit pale, she manipulates the father through her sexual acts, and the father is just so manipulated from the mother. He can't really think on his own. He just so, in la la land. You have a daughter who she's really numb to reality. She's not really human in all of its sense. She's just really numb, and it's like she's really demonic. She's has this gothic thing going on. You have a son who gets excited about things blowing up. He just, I don't know. So then you also have Frankenstein walking around. You also have a loose hand right. You have a loose hand that's completely detached from the body that can be making soup or cooking up something in the kitchen. And it's just like everything is going on around the house. It's not normal to the outside looking in, but it's completely normal to them because they've normalized that dysfunction. You also have an Uncle Sylvester who his head has been blown off several times, but why in the world is he still alive? It's just dysfunction, but it's normal in the Addams family home because that's just the way they live. We have monstrous situations around us, just like the Addams family.
And no
That-
cousin it. Don't forget about
no cousin it. You see what I'm
Cousin Ed.
saying?
Oh Lord.
Nobody knows what that is. So and a lot of times, just like the Addams family, our family begins to resemble the Addams family. You think you got the picture perfect family. You think you all are a-okay, but from somebody who's together and who recognize dysfunction, they recognize that. They recognize chaos. They recognize discord. They recognize disorder. They recognize when you think you together that you really not together. They recognize that, just like the Addams family. So
let me ask you a question. So
yeah.
you're saying, can you safely say that some people don't realize that they're living a rerun of their parents' life or their grandparents' life?
Completely safe to say. And I think I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like that. Well, you can't fully say what you don't want to be like without you saying. 'Cause I think we focus so much on what we don't want to be like and not focus on what we want to be. Or we don't have an example of what we want to be like. Because the example of what we don't want to be like is so before us, we don't even picture point. Okay, well, what do you want to be like? What is your goal? What is your aim? What's your goal
Your
to be
focus, your
like?
vision.
Right.
Because you just focus on what you don't want to be like, it's still a lack of vision there.
And you still walking in that direction because you're still giving that at your complete attention.
And the crazy thing about it is, especially when it comes to the Addams family, that's normal for them. And everybody else that's not like them, guess what? Is abnormal.
Right.
So to them, if you're not crazy like us, if you're not deranged like us, if you don't wear black like us and black lipstick, if you don't have the it walking around and you don't have the hand cooking in the kitchen like we do, then the normal people is abnormal to the abnormal people.
And that's the way it was.
And the crazy thing about it is that we have made it so normal for us to operate in our dysfunction that it's hard for us to get out of the dysfunction. Now watch this. When we were talking about this, we were looking at other families that are known families that we kind of, can peek in their life a little bit. And we looked at the Jackson family. And if we look at the Jackson family, everyone that has read, seen, heard an interview, a documentary, has seen them perform or whatever, everything, guess what? They're going to say, that's a weird family. They're going to say that they're not, they're secretive, but they got a weirdness about them. They got a little aura about them where you don't know this. And look, matter of fact, we were just watching Iyanla Fix My Life last Saturday, and the Michael Jackson's nephew. Tyrell, whatever his name is, that he was operating in dysfunction. It became so normal to him that it even filtered into his relationship with his fiance, lady, whoever she is, with his children, that he had become a dysfunctional name instead of a functional man. That the name within itself, the dysfunction that came with the name, he got so caught up in having the Jackson name and all of the secrets and all of the things that happened in the dark and all of the stuff he had to live with, he realized he was living with it without really functioning properly. And then he realized it was dysfunction to him. And that's just the Jacksons. We watched a documentary weeks and weeks ago about the DeBarge family.
Wow.
And I think it was Unsung or Being or one of those.
I've seen it.
And I watched it. I was so taken back that not only was the father doing drugs and had abuse, was being abusive and things like that, but every last one of the children except one of them had a problem with drugs. Every last one of the children.
Wow.
Except I think it was seven or eight children.
One didn't.
I forgot which one didn't.
Because later on in the show, they said he became weak and succumbed to drugs as well. So he held that for a long time and then became weak to drugs. So it was only a matter.
So now you have a whole family, a father and all of the children now got drug issues and drug problems. And now we see, I don't know if y'all watch Growing Up Hip Hop, we now have James DeBarge's daughter now got to try to find where he is. He's out in the street. We just saw your father. He's strung out. He's in a crack house. And it just becomes a normal way of life. And so what we want to do is even just identify dysfunction. Can we go a little further? Let's talk about Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, listen, they've even made money off being dysfunctional. They had a TV show.
Oh.
People wanted to interview them just because they were dysfunctional. So not only did we normalize dysfunction, now we're making money off dysfunction.
Wow.
Why do you think all these reality shows and all this stuff that's going on is the #1 shows? Dysfunction. Housewives. That's living in dysfunction.
And we like to watch it.
But we like to watch it. We like to see what they gonna do. Neffy and the mom, Nefertiti and the mom. Dysfunction. They got a reality show on dysfunction. So the more we see it, the more we're around it, the more it's in our family, the more it becomes normal to us.
Now, what would you guys say to somebody say, okay, you saying that I'm living dysfunction. I'm just trying to survive the situation. This the hand that was dealt to me. How you don't know my life. You don't know what it takes to, I got all these kids, or, I was born in the projects. I didn't actually be born here. I'm just living the way I'm living. How would you guys answer that?
Let me say this. I think a lot of times when we want to make excuses, we focus on the hand we were dealt. Watch this. But when you want to, what did you say? I learned this in 8th grade. Excuses are monuments of nothingness. He or she who used these tools of incompetence is considered a master of nothingness. That was one of the first poems I learned in 8th grade. You changed it a little. I hear when you open up with it. So when people want to make excuses for their dysfunction, this the hand I was dealt. But when you want to change something, this is the key right here. Instead of saying this the hand I was dealt, say this the hand I'm going to play. See, you can change.
Wow, that's good.
Just because you were dealt a certain hand does not mean all the I came from the projects. Guess what? Well, I came from across the street from the projects. I didn't have everything either, but I don't make that a handicap for why I am the way I am. I changed that and I became what I should be as opposed to what I was born into. Even as believers, I don't hate it, but even as believers, we're born into sin. Do we say we're born into sin? We just stay sinners? No, we change that. So when you were dealt a certain hand, it's how you play your hand, man. What do you do with what you were dealt? All right, find a way to get out of there. Get out of projects. Find a way to make yourself a wealthier, healthier, things of that sort. But then, now this is how you play your hand. Go back and help somebody else out of it. Go back and get somebody else out of it. Go back and change somebody else's hand that was dealt the same thing. You want to add to that?
You pretty much, you did a pretty good job. However, what would I say to a person if that individual was sitting right before me? I would say, I would try to let them know the best way I can that their perspective, their outlook, and the way that they see things is not of their own. Their perspective they have and the outcome or the way they look at things is not of their own, but it was given to them by their household, how they were raised, through their parents, whoever, an aunt, a grandmother that raised you. My whole point in saying is you don't have your own ability to recognize that someone else sold these seeds into you. This is not your own opinion. This is not your own perspective. So let's say if you weren't in this situation, then what perspective would you have? If you wasn't on welfare, if you didn't grow up on the bad side of the tracks, what then perspective would you have?
That's good.
So the only perspective that you have now is the one that your auntie, your grandma, your mama, your daddy who wasn't there gave you. It's not too late to ever change your perspective. I think we focus, like Pastor Rob just said, we focus on the bad hand that we was dealt. Well, I'll be honest, I'm gonna give that hand in, because I'm gonna get a new hand. Okay, and because I'm not thinking about just, I'm not just thinking about me, but I'm thinking about my bloodline, because I want to be able to give a better hand to my kids and to the generations after me. So I think we focus on, we like to capitalize off of the struggle. Yeah, we want to. I was in the struggle. Get out.
As if that gets us extra brownie points because we survived the struggle.
Oh,
or we got over with, peanut butter and jelly.
Who wasn't dealt with a hand where the odds wasn't necessarily on their side, where things wasn't looking on the up and up, or everything wasn't in their favor? Who wasn't? Who was it? I see it as only a weak person minded person likes to focus on the hand they were dealt or the circumstances that's around them. But a strong mind and a strong will person likes to uh, gain wisdom to change the atmosphere around you and to change the circumstances around you.
Let me ask you a question. Now, somebody out there talking about, she talking about my mama. My mama did the best she could.
Yes, she did.
How you gonna talk about my mama?
Yes, she did.
My mama, but I was raised. I have 3 meals. She might not have been always there, but she worked 2 jobs to make sure. How you gonna talk about my mama?
Okay.
You don't know my situation. How you gonna do that?
You sure right. I don't know your mother. She probably worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs to provide. Same as to my mother. However, I look at my mother. And I'll use my mother. I won't even use your mother. I look at my mother and I see someone who wasn't all the way properly informed, who was misguided in some ways. They gave her God, but they didn't give her guidance. They gave her God, but
Girl,
they didn't
that
give
was
her.
good. I felt something when you said that.
Whoa.
They gave her God, but they didn't really walk her through the whole thing. Like, they gave her God, but they didn't really help her how to use her gifts. Like, same as to my mother, just like your mother, she did the best she could based on her information that was provided. However, I need you to ask your mother, and I need you to ask your mother why she went about the things, or why she went about the ways that she went about as far as handling different things. Why did she go about it those ways? Because if you understand why she went about it those ways, you will see she only did what she could, and she only went about it those ways because she was misinformed. She didn't have necessary tools. Yeah. She was misinformed on some things, or just uninformed, whether somebody gave her bad information or no information at all. So I think it's best for you, male or female, get your information. Get your information, because I recognize on both my father and my mother, they're spirit-filled, gifted, anointed, but early on in life, they were misguided. It's okay, but we have to come to the acknowledgement on the reckoning, or we have to recognize it for ourselves. It's okay. I don't look at my mother and look down on her, because she did provide. She did work as many jobs as she could to provide, being the situation that it was with 3 girls, being a single mother. However, does that mean I accept that for me? No, because I recognize her mistakes and I say I want to completely turn from that, because that won't be me. So, I mean.
First of all, the revelation that comes for her is amazing. A lot of times we have conversation. I'll be like, hold on, wait a minute. Let me type that down, because that's going to be a sermon. So the way God speaks to her is very unique, and I love it because I'm able to feed off of that and eat off of that. But it's absolutely true. A lot of times what our parents have done or went through is, like she said, a lot of times a lack of information, a lack of guidance. And I must say, like my grandparents, they gave my parents God. Watch this. But there was a lack of guidance. So if there's a lack of guidance with one generation, there's going to be a lack of guidance normally with the next generation. Let me say it like this. And this is just a little simple thing I could talk about. How many of our parents actually taught us how to save money? Let's just answer that question, because they spent everything they had. Sure. So they couldn't teach us how to save money because they spent everything. You know what I said? I don't want to spend everything I got. I want to teach my children that you can save, even if it's $5 a week, $5 a month. Put something away so that it won't be, I don't spend everything I got, and what's left? Now pull me. We have to change the patterns that have been subliminally, that have been subconsciously, and that have been purposefully passed down from one generation to the next. We have to change that. When we look at Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they all did the same thing. They all lied. Listen, but did one know about the other one lying? Probably not. But they did the same thing. And the enemy got them in the same way. The enemy got them in the same way. And a lot of times we look at ourselves, how the enemy gets us. What are our temptations? A lot of our temptations are because our parents had the same temptations. They had the same things they failed in. They had the same things that the enemy got them in.
Overcome.
For us to have these conversations so that we'll know, hold on, I'm identifying something is wrong. Let me go back to mom and daddy. Let me go back to my grandmama and grandfather, and let me see where this started from. So now I know what to pray against, what to war against. So it's stopping with me, and it's not going to further generations.
Now, I don't want to get above y'all next point, but the thing that moved me more than anything when I that first Sunday was the fact that, when I take my mom last name is Wright.
Mm.
And she was married to my my brother and sister father and gave me their name.
Mhm.
But my father's name is Shanks. And you met my brother. My brother's on my show. I connected with that side of the family, and my name should be Shanks.
Oh.
And you said something in church that the dysfunction for that name Wright is not only is on my life as well as the dysfunction from Shanks. Go into that a little bit deeper, and I don't want to jump ahead because I know you got it.
No, you're good. I like it because it calls dialogue and brings other ideas and things like that. I'm gonna say this, but I want Dr. J to go a little further into it because she has some great points that she want to bring out when it comes to that. But like myself, I'm gonna talk about me.
Go ahead.
I have three older sisters, and my eldest sister has a different last name because she has a different father. And me and the two sisters up over me, between me and my oldest sister, were born. We took on the same last name as my eldest sister, but it wasn't my father's last name. So my name didn't change until I was 19, almost 20. From being born to 19, almost 20, I had some other man's last name. Now, anything that we say today is not to bash or beat down anyone, our parents, anything like that.
Right.
It's to make people aware of the mistakes that were made, simply because we don't want to keep making the same mistakes. And if I go a step further back, it didn't even start with my mama. My grandmama had three younger children by a different man. Guess what? Those three younger children had the same last name as the five older children, or six older children, five, however many it was. So it didn't just start with my parents. Sometimes you got to go back some generations to get answers and why things were done. So having said that, I lived for 19, almost 20 years with another man's last name. So not only did I have the issues from my mother's side of the family, and my parents are still together. It ain't like they were not together. It ain't like I don't know who my father is. They still live together, still married 40 some years and the whole 9 yards. That's a whole nother story. However, my mother's bloodline, walk around my biological father's bloodline, but now I'm attached to a whole nother bloodline, or namesake, quote unquote, that I don't know nothing about. I don't know these people, and you was in the same situation as me. But yes. I got mine changed, for legal reasons and things of that sort. But now, not only do I have the issues of my biological parents, but now I got the issues of a person that's not my parent, and a bloodline of a family I know nothing about. So sometimes, because we have attachments of other things in our families and our bloodlines and what we have been attached to and what we've been what has been put on us for no apparent reason at all.
Wow.
So now we got extra issues that we got to deal with, that we listen, not necessarily that we were born into, but because it was attached to us.
Yeah, you said everything I was going to say, but yeah, you did. But no, it's okay. It was good information. But just like Pastor Rob just said, your parents are the first line of defense when it comes to a child. And just like we said before in one of the points that we made previously, that all you have to do is accept dysfunction, accept the seeds of dysfunction. Okay, so you may be saying the child is innocent. He really didn't know, he was given that name. Okay, well, that's up to the parent. The parent is the first line of defense to the child. When the parent made the decision to give that child another name other than the biological name that was properly or that belongs to that child, she opened up doors for demonic forces to come in and attack that child from other generations, not even through his bloodline, but because she accepted that last name. What runs through the generations and through the bloodline of that last name is going to penetrate that female or that male's life. It has to, because she accepted it. And same as to, like Pastor Rob said, I was going to say, but it's fine. Same as to his own biological last name. He has to see how he or she has to try to maneuver through life with two sides of dysfunction penetrating his life, coming on every angle. And sometimes, honestly, we don't even know why our kids are just wayward. They got tendencies like other stuff, and it's just like,
why he acting like that?
Right. I didn't implement this, or he didn't get this from me. But sometimes indirectly, and sometimes we are first line of defense, and sometimes when we accept things, it penetrates over and run over into our children. It's going to. That's the way that it happens in the Bible. That's the way it happens naturally. It's going to happen that way.
Parents have to be the security of the portals they open to their children.
Oh, yeah.
They have to be the first line, I believe she just said, the first line of defense over what they not only place over their children, but what they expose their children to.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes last names. That includes their boyfriend that's in the house, their girlfriend that comes over. Whatever you expose them to, you got to be the first line of defense or security. And whatever portal you're allowed to be open in their life, over them, things put on them and things of that sort. Say it over them, all of that. We have to be watchmen. And if our children are given to us by a gift from God, we have to make sure that we are the watchmen over, just like a pastor is a watchman over the flock soul. Well, just as parents, we're the same thing. We're the watchmen over their soul. So the reason why we have a lot of soulish issues in our life is because sometimes parents, most of the time, a lot of time, parents have opened up portals to soulish issues and situations for the child. And now we deal with them and we trying to figure out why they acting like that and why she's saying this and why she cussing me out and I made you. What is it? I brought you in this world. I can take you out. We shouldn't be. Why are kids acting like this? And why are our grandchildren acting out things that? So a lot of times is what we expose them to by either bad decisions, issues that we've had, or things we just put on them because of relational things.
Well, let me ask the question that I asked in church. I asked the church, I'm in my 40s. Do I change my name to Shanks? Because being that I have 3 sons by 3 different ladies.
That's all right.
Same thing my dad did,
See, so you're able to identify.
Right, because my dad, he was married. He had 5 kids, and I think it's a lot of us outside different, and we got a contact. I realized I got a lot of brothers and sisters that look just like me from different ladies, and we've all connected and we've healed. So I thank God for that.
Amen.
But do I change that? Because the portal that was open to me, I opened 3 separate times at different places, because just like you said, I want the bloodline curses and things to stop with my generation. I don't want them to go any further. So somebody might be like, okay, do I change my name? I had to change my name all my life. Do I change that name? Is that going to change anything? Or just because I have that name, it doesn't mean I'm going to have to still deal with that?
This is the thing. I think in your situation right now, for lack of a better word or better term, you kind of in deep. Not only you have that last name, but your sons have that last name. What I feel like would be best for that situation, when I say change it, honestly, there has to be something that really convicts you or that gets to you that makes you want to do that. I can't tell you to change it, but if it messes with you that bad and your conscience that bad, change it. If not, and it's like, well, if it don't matter to me, then don't change it. But what I would like and what would be beneficial to your sons, inform them of their real last name. Inform them, since no one informed you. Well, whether they did, it was too late in the game, whatever the case may be. Inform your sons. That's how I would go about it. Inform them. This is your family. However, I accepted this name, and let them know why you accepted it. I accepted this name because of this. However, this is your family. This is your real bloodline. I want you to get acquainted. I don't want you to make the same mistake and da. However, when you get married, let them know they have the option of original last name. So.
And then also what you can do after you make them acquainted with that side of family, those people, the Shanks last name, who they really are. And if you don't necessarily even change the name, still you as a parent can be the first line of defense to, now since it's been identified, is to know what to pray against, know what to war against, know what to fight against spiritually. I mean, in the spirit realm, when it comes to whatever that line may have in its name. And once you make them aware of where they come from, who they are, I'd rather them know, oh, so my biological grandfather was like, that's where I get this from. Or and sometimes when you identifying them with the right last name, then they're able to identify the good things about who they are, and it can be relative to their biological grandmother, grandfather, and things like that, not just the name that was given to them. So even if you don't change your name, you can definitely make sure that you pray against warfare, cover them in different areas that you may have identified may have come from a side of the family that's not their biological side of the family.
Right.
Give me guidance on a grown conversation with my mom and my dad, or my mom, about the situation. Because some people might be like, okay, how do I approach my mom and tell her, now that I'm old, in my 40s, I'm grown.
You old, I'm not.
You know what I mean? But I've lived life. I've grown up successful. How do I come to my mom and say what you did was wrong, and not be offensive, and to be forgiving and understanding, but to tell me wrong, and especially if your mom replies, look how you turned out. Obviously, I did something right. How would you approach that situation?
This is what I would say. First off, I wouldn't go to my parents and say, you were wrong.
You know what I mean?
Know your personnel.
We definitely have, whatever you do, you definitely have to make sure, I tell this to everybody when you talk to your parents, make sure you do it respectfully, because it's to your parents. However, and we're going to get into this too a little bit later. I think we are today going to get into it. The whys. When you go with a humble spirit and not, look, you're going to tell me, give me answers today, but go, why? Can you just tell me, why did I, blah, 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 why did you do it? Or sometimes the why and the answer to the why becomes even more healing than them saying, I'm sorry. Yeah. Because a lot of times we don't understand why things were done the way they were done. Sometimes, I'm just going to be honest, sometimes people gave kids another man's last name because the man they were still with, they don't want the government to know who he really is. Come on, y'all.
Wow.
And they still getting government assistance, things like that. That happens on a regular.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until we started doing this. So many people said, I got the same problem and issue. I thought it was just me. I'm saying so there's other crazy parents out there did the same thing. However, but yeah, just go to them, like, just why did you do this? And I want to bring resolve and closure to this, because even though I came out pretty good, because I think I came out pretty good too. Even though I came out pretty good, there's still sometimes inner issues, inner thoughts, different thought patterns, and things like that you have to deal with that nobody else would probably ever know that you had to deal with. In regards to loss of identity. And a lot of times we don't have our identity because we don't have a lot of answers to questions that we have in our head. So we sit and we think that we're not as good, or we're not. Why did they do this to me? And why didn't they tell me about this? And I just found this out last year and I'm 50. And why in the world did she allow this to happen? Why in the world did he allow her to do this? And we have all these questions with no answers. And a lot of times, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm just coming to you because I want some answers. I want to know who I am. I want to know why this was done. I want to give my children answers to why this has happened to me. Not only that, let's just be honest. You owe me some answers. Okay. You may be the parents, but I want you to know you owe me some answers. It's not just about you. Even though decisions you make, you thought only affected you. I think we're about to get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Decisions you make, you thought only affected you, but it didn't only affect you, Mom and Dad. It actually affected your seed and generation to come. Same thing with Abraham. He didn't realize that him lying was going to filter down into his son and then filter down to his grandson. If we really knew the decisions we make, the issues that we're having, and how we deal with things, if we really knew that it was going to affect our generations after us, we wouldn't do it. But see, we get selfish and we get caught up in whatever we're in, just like Abram. I didn't want them to kill me because they're going to find out that Sarai was my wife. Just like Isaac. I didn't want them to kill me because they're going to find out Rebecca is my wife, because they both were fair to look at. Scripture say, right? Then we get to Jacob. I'm a lie because I want the birthright, even though it belonged to Esau because he was the eldest. Jacob said, I want it. And then his mama helped him. See, all these issues, dysfunction. His mama helped him. His mama, Rebecca, that Isaac lied about, the same mama helped him get the birthright. And now we got even national issues that we're dealing with now because of that situation.
You said everything I was going to say.
Again, why does she
You
keep saying
did.
this?
Because I mean, I don't know where you get this good information from. I mean, I can guess it would be me, but no. Yeah, like Pastor Rob said, you, I'm sure you know your mother. You know what would upset her. You have to go about it a certain way, a respectable way, and just say, "Mom, I'd like to talk to you, have an honest conversation with you. I just like to know, like he said, why did you go about different things this way? I like to know because even if I didn't have this information for me, I would like to hand this information down to my kids because I feel like, Mom, um, there was some battles that I had to fight that wasn't really meant for me, or that I feel like I could have dodged, or you been my mom, you could have guarded me from. But due to the acceptance of different things, they came at me for a target. So yeah, I mean, those conversations, I encourage those conversations every single day.
Now, I want to get to that next point that you guys was talking about losing identity because um,
Yep.
I had
Uh,
a friend of mine yesterday who didn't understand that she's recently divorced from her husband, and she kind of her oldest son is acting out,
hmm.
and she didn't understand that they go through divorce too, just like you do.
Hmm.
So, she didn't understand his reactions to everything. And sometimes not knowing who you are or something of that effect can make you lose your identity, but also make you be desensitized towards your kids' feelings as they are dealing with it as well as you dealing with it. And, she felt bad because she really jacked him up. And she wanted me to talk about that dysfunction on the show. I asked you guys about um, what do kids experience through divorce, about their identity and stuff. What would you say about that? What advice could you give her?
You want me to go? Because I don't want to take what you was gonna say.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, one thing, and this may veer a little bit off of what we're talking about, but
Yeah.
one thing that when divorce takes place, and just my experience, and even talking to people, that have been through divorce, and family members that have been through divorce and things of that sort, a lot of children uh, lose who they are through divorce, because you have to understand, because your identity comes from your parents. If your parents split, then most children, even subconsciously or uh, directly or indirectly, feel like that their identity has been split. Well, who am I now? Or am I my father's child, or am I my mother's child? Contrary to what we think, when the fight of divorce happens, which it happens a lot in divorce, and the parents are going at it and fighting, the children feel like they have to take a side. The children feel like that they have to be on mama's side or be on daddy's side. However, if we get out of that, this is about us per se, even though the divorce is about the parents, let's just be honest, about the man and husband and wife. But if we deal with it integrally, if we deal with it honestly, and deal with it in the best way possible, where the situation can be wholesome for the children, then it won't. I believe it won't be as much of a dysfunctional, much as a hard time when it's going through, when both parents can get their personal feelings out the way and get there. Well, you hurt me. Well, no, you hurt me, it was your fault. Well, no, it's your fault. And we get so caught up in that, and the children is like in a balance. Okay, when y'all get done fighting, we need to be taken care of. Hello, can you help me? So I think let's get our personal pride and feelings and egos out the way, and actually, I wouldn't say focus on the children while going through divorce, but make sure the children is a factor while you're going through, and don't leave them just hanging in a balance.
Okay. So maybe when this topic comes up, I'm just desensitized. I don't come from a family. My parents weren't married. However, when they weren't together, did I feel it? Yes. I think when two parents are not together, they need to remind the child, listen, we're not together because of nothing that you have done or didn't do, but we're not together because we can't coexist together. However, we would do the best we can together to make sure you have the best outcome and the best future as possible. So I feel like a lot of times two parents get so caught up in the whole divorce process that they kind of forget to, bring the child in, because the child is a factor in the whole divorce process. Will they feel dad not in the home, mom not in the home? Yes. However, it can go from being like this, it can be like, this, or it could be like this, and it just hits them off guard. It don't have to be like that, but it depends on how conscious you are to the transition of the child. However, also, and this may be just a little unsensitive, stop bringing your kids into your business enough to feel too much other than what they should feel. You don't have
I
to
agree.
explain your marital issue to your child. Your child should not have to know why you and your partner are not together. We're not together. We can't do this together. However, we would do this. We will supply you this. We would offer you this. However, I'm not going, we're not going to go on the rundown. He's a dirty lie. He ain't come. No, I don't owe you that, because I'm not going to plant seeds of disorder or chaos between you and your father, and I expect him not to do the same
Which causes more dysfunction.
when it comes to me. And I believe that's why people cannot get a divorce, or parents can't get a divorce. I'm be honest. And I think like this all the time. Why in the world is this child bothered? This could have been a situation where we went about it where he or she wasn't so affected. Why are they so on their feelings? Why are they so bothered? What are they missing that they feel like if you all get a divorce that they're lacking? Honestly, when kids are so caught up, a lot of that stuff is for attention. I'll be honest. A lot of stuff for attention.
Well, let me explain the situation. The thing with her was, I felt, and I told her, you're taking out your frustrations because you got a divorce with this guy on your son. So he's reacting because he's hurting. So he's going through it. And instead of you're talking to him or understanding, and you guys come all in or hands on for the kids.
Oh.
So you're so busy trying to make him not be like his dad, to the fact that you're turning him into his dad, to the fact you're making him a victim. And I understand that he hurts as well as you do, that you guys are not together. So it's a transition for you. And so because I've experienced it, and Pastor Rob called off of my middle son, that me and his mom is going through it. And she loves to put my son in the middle of it, like, you need to hear this and you need to do that, which puts the strain on him, which he said something that almost, he almost caught it, because she's going to have me break on you like I really don't want to break on you, because it's not you saying that, but that's her planting that seed. And I have never had it where I've been able to sit down with any of my son's mom and let's work as adults. And unfortunately, when I was talking to my friend yesterday, she really broke on her son. When I talk about jacked him up.
Like with the fist?
Well, yeah, gave him a whooping. And she felt like she had to do that so that he can grow up to be responsible, and streets can't have him and this and that. But I told her anger is misplaced. It's coming from your hurt from your recent divorce. And that's what,
Yeah, and that happens very often. Our anger and frustration is taken out on, and I'm saying us as in parents, is taken out on the children when the divorce happens. And the sad thing about it is the parents don't know how to separate the children, like she said, out of the situation, even though they're part of the equation as far as family orientation and things of that sort, but to separate the children from what I feel about your mother, what I feel about your father. So now, if you're going to be with me, I'm going to be angry. And they just saying, well, mama just like that now. Daddy just like that now. Well, we really have to make sure as parents where we channel that energy to and from, even if it's a frustration of the person you're divorcing. You can't give it to the children. It only makes them resent you, not want to be around you, not want to listen to you, disrespect you, and the list goes on and on and on. Believe me.
Not saying that all those things are right, but those are that's what will happen.
Yeah, those are the results of that. So we have to make sure that we're not making our children the pawns of, getting the mother or the father back. We're not making our children the middle person of, and it's because of your daddy and it's because of your mama, and like Dr. J said, planting those seeds, and then we're wondering why, when your daughter come home the next time, she looking at you cockeyed from her mama's house, or when your son come to your house, he looking at you cockeyed from his daddy's house, because seeds have been planted. And we don't understand that Even in we just talking, every conversation should not be had in front of the child. Everything that you went through should not be said in front of the child. Things that you experience in a marriage should not be said in front of the child, because we got to understand our children take on our emotions. Our children take on our feelings. Our children take on when we're mad, when we're angry, when we're frustrated, when we're happy, when we're sad. They take on all of that stuff. So when it comes to divorcing, and you got a child going to see their father for the weekend, their mama for the weekend, and they go over there and they got attitude. I'm like, where the attitude come from? Straighten that up before you come back in this house. And sometimes that happens because we get caught up in ourselves as parents, and we're just putting everything that we feel and everything that we know on the child.
People of God, we're going to get back into the point. That's why we're going to have multiple Fridays, because we love to talk. And when you get me and Pastor Sam together, y'all, we need about 5 hours of talk. Let's get to this next point. Come on, because I don't want people like, okay, y'all, we want to hear about this dysfunction now.
Yeah. So you're going to talk about your correct.
Okay. So back to the initial statement that to the first point that we brought out, which is that your initial identity comes from your parents, your upbringing, your household, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, whoever raised you. That's where your identity initially is going to come from. If you think about it, first, naturally, on a natural sense, when you go to the doctor's office, they don't start by asking questions about you directly. They start by asking questions about your family. They would ask questions like this. Does leukemia run through your family? Does diabetes run through your family? Does swollen ankles run through your family? Does fibroid run through your family? Because they understand that if this run through your family, it has a great of chances to it coming to you, to it affecting your life. So if the doctor has that understanding, how come we don't have that understanding in the spiritual sense that if this is what run through our family, if this is what hit your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, what makes you think it's not going to come to you? What runs through your bloodline is so vital, and it's so important, and it's so much more important for us to recognize it. It goes beyond you. It goes to show what runs through your family, whether you recognize it or not. It has a way of facing us, not only us, but it has a way of facing our seed. It's important for us to recognize and acknowledge all sides of our parents, so we won't make the same mistake as our parents. And you can go ahead.
Yeah, I remember going to the doctor. I forgot what I was going to the doctor for. It was probably a cold or flu or something some years ago. And I went to the same doctor that my grandmother went to. I went to the same doctor that my parents went to. Went to the same doctor that my second and third cousins went to, and my great aunts and all great uncles and all them went to. The first question they asked when they started my chart was, does heart disease run in your family? I said, no. They had the nerve to correct me and say, yes, it does, because your grandmother has congestive heart failure.
Wow.
I said, well, excuse me then.
I don't accept that.
And that's what I told him. I said, I don't accept that. It does not run through my family. My grandmother had that, but don't tell me it's going to just keep running through my family. You know why? Because I made up my mind years ago that everything that I've ever ran dysfunctionally or wrongly in my family is stopping with me. I'm not accepting that the doctor just says this and the doctor says that because a couple of people in my family have it. It's stopping with me.
Yeah.
So that's when I said earlier, now you know what to pray against. Now you know what to war against. No, heart failure does not run in my family. My grandmama had that. I didn't. So we have to make sure when things are identified that's dysfunctional, things are identified that's not right or that's improper, we have to then make it right and reject it. So, and once we reject it and deal with it, then it makes sure that it doesn't go on from generation to generation. So that whole idea that when God gave her, to brought up when you go to the doctor and the doctor tell you, that is absolutely right.
That's right.
Absolutely right. And the first thing people say is, well, your grandma was like this and your mom was like that. That's where you get that hard-headedness from. Come on, y'all. We done heard that before.
Yeah.
Your daddy was hard-headed. That's why you hard-headed.
Yeah.
Your mama had a big mouth. That's why you got a big mouth.
Papa was a rolling stone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, we ain't rolling no more in this family. How about that?
The buck stops here. But no, it goes to show it goes from out to in. They look on the outer as far as your family to better understand what's going to take place on the inside of you. And as far as different ways to recognize what runs through your family or through your bloodline. It's important to recognize those things. It's important to pinpoint it. It's also important to acknowledge it. And I think what a few of the mistakes that we make is, as far as our parents, we would look at the brighter side of our parents or the darker side of our parents, or we just won't acknowledge no side at all. And what do I mean by we will look at the brighter side, the dark side, or no side at all? Let's say if this was your son and he's trying to find a way to have
Light skin? No.
okay, well y'all use me for example because
Go ahead.
that's an obvious fail. In my own personal experience with me repositioning myself and my father repositioning himself back in my life, my thing was, you know what, even though I may have heard negative things about him, whether it be current or years ago, most of it is when they were teenage years and all that, adolescent. However, regardless of what I heard, my thing was, you know what, I'm gonna look on the brighter side. Or I'm just gonna focus on all the bad and negative things I heard about him. Or I'm just like, I don't even care. So that's the brighter side, the dark side, or no side at all. However, in my own personal experience, and what kind of hurt me the same way is me looking on the bright side of not just my father, but my mother as well. I set myself in line to receive what I ignored as far as what was on the dark side. So it's good that you look on the
Wow.
bright side, but you are doing a disjustice to yourself by denying the dark side. And I mean the dark side as in those bad habits, those negative things, those unspoken things that neither one of them may think talk about publicly, or those habits or those characteristics that really you can't really do in front of nobody else, or you would act such a way, or your temper. Like me acknowledging both of my parents' good side, I end up getting both of the dark side. Not only that, but me acknowledging their brighter side or their most positive side, I not only set myself in next to get it, but I seen it in the partner. So what you deny is going to face you. It's either going to face you and it's going to penetrate your life, or it's going to face you and penetrate a partner. It happens like that every single time. In my own personal experience, I would recognize, like, all I was growing up, I would be told, I look just like my daddy, or I act just like my daddy. However,
She's just a little bit prettier though.
just a little bit. He's pretty too, but um, my dad, when he gets mad, he's mad and he likes to fight. Well, when I get mad, I don't like to do much talking. I like to fight. My temper. I have a temper, but the Lord is dealing with me.
Let me
Now that I can,
add you.
now that I can
Swing. I
identify.
dare you swing.
But that was a big ignorant on my part, because I didn't know that, hey, you acknowledge all sides of your parents. Don't deny. When you deny, you set yourself in line to receive what you are in denial of. You cannot be in denial. No way, shape, or form. So since I was in denial, I have traits that to this day I'm detaching slowly but surely. I'm shedding what I was in denial of. So.
Wow.
But it comes with identifying them. And the same thing with me. I see some ways of my parents, and we're not saying our parents are bad people. All our parents are saved.
Mm-mm.
That they're gifted. We love them dearly. We have great relationship with all four of them. So we're not saying that at all. But we are saying that some things that some ways they are or were, some things that they did do back in the past and things of that sort has come to haunt us.
Okay.
And we're finding out, well, why in the world did I do that? And why in the world? Coming to find out a conversation with one of my parents, that kind of run through our family. I'm saying, well, what the world? I'm not accepting that no more. I'm not accepting that it just run through our family. That's just what we do, and that's just how we are. You can't just accept that that's just how we are, and that's just what we do, because then it's acceptable to remain the way you are. If you say, well, it's just how we are, and all the women in our family just got big mouths, and all the men in our family just what's the word? They just abusive, and we just all the men in our family. I'm not saying this is what my parents said, but I'm just giving examples. And all the men in our family got extra side kids, and all the women in our family sleep around. No, you just can't accept behavior like that.
Yeah.
If you accept behavior like that, you're giving the enemy an open door to not only affect you in your life, but also affect your children and your children's children after you.
Yes.
If it doesn't stop with you and it keeps going, then guess what? Well, my grandma was just like this. My mom, and we think because we make it relative to somebody prior in our family that, oh, well, we wear it proud. I'm promiscuous because this happened. My grandma was. She had 5 kids and 4 baby daddies. This is how my granddaddy was. He had no. So it's like, well, I can relate to my grandma because no,
Let's go. That's good.
To me, and I have heard this. That this is just the way our family is. The women can't submit to the men because this is just the way our family is. And all the women got big mouths and they run the men away because this just how we are. You can't just say this just how we are and then make it acceptable, because now you're giving your children the same right that your parents gave you, which should not be a right, but you're giving them the same right to just go ahead and continue this bloodline curse or this dysfunction.
Yeah. So for another example, and what's really common that we really ignore because it's so common. I use my mom for example. I'm sorry, mommy. I'm sorry, but it's all good. It's all good. My grandfather, my mom's dad, my mom talks about her father to this day. He's deceased. How she loved him so. However, she also too looked on the bright side of her father. However, the more unpleasant side of him was he drank a lot. He was abusive verbally and physically. So her looking on the bright side of her father, okay, how was it that the first man that she marries, not my biological father, but someone that I call my dad because he took a part of raising me, first guy that she marries is abusive verbally, abusive physically. Well, when you deny or dismiss sides of your parents, it's going to hit you in the face, whether through you again or through a partner. I experienced the same thing. My dad is a spiritual man. And so I don't know, kind of indirectly, that's what would be kind of, I guess that's what I would draw, or that's what I would be more attracted to, is someone who has good information or spiritual insight. So I attracted someone with a good spiritual sense, but morally and integrally, they were poor.
Okay.
But that was me denying a side that I shouldn't have denied. That came from me denying what ran through my family. That came from me denying what came from a certain side of my family. Because a certain side of my family, they're spiritual, but they have no integrity. They have low morals. They can prophesy and speak in tongues, but as a partner, they're poor. I would attract a man who can draw crowds, but it's not a good partner to me. When I figure out this revelation, I was talking to Pastor Rob. I said, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. I only attracted what I deny. You attract what you deny. You attract what you deny. You attract what you deny.
And to go a step further, my mother is much more vocal than my father. I mean, much more vocal. My father's, I'm kind of like my father, kind of laid back. If I get upset, I get quiet and I kind of detach and I kind of, things like that. So I realized that and like she said in her previous relationship, she really was faced with the same thing. Same thing with me. My mother's much more vocal. Guess how the women I was with, of course, before Dr. J, much more vocal. Don't be looking like that. Much more vocal. And what I wind up doing, been just like my father, detach, get quiet, don't want to say nothing, because I ain't about to argue with you. Go crazy if you want to, but we then begin to replicate what we saw and what we experienced in life and what we, like she said, denied or didn't want to face. And we become exactly just that, or we face exactly just that. So then I began to, I don't know if I want to go to identify partners and things of that sort, but I realized that every woman that and I'm saying every woman like it's been millions, but it's only been a few. Stop it. It's only been a few.
We got this tape.
Every woman since high school, every woman since high school was a certain kind of female. A certain kind of female, very vocal. You say it again?
No, I said, come on, talk about it.
Very vocal, but had father issues. Every last person from high school up until just recently. Very vocal, big mouth, talked a lot, was the one that kind of called the shots and did all the rest of that, but had father issues. Every last one of them. And I'm trying to figure out, why in the world did I attract those kind of women or those kind of females? For what I present and who I am and what I represent, a man, no God, a leader in his own right. And this before I even became pastor and all that, 2-parent home I came from and all the rest of that stuff. I attracted those women that have father issues.
He represented stability.
And I didn't realize that until we had this conversation weeks ago and talking about this. I did not realize that until we were talking about this in the car, or we were going to dinner, or wherever we were. And I said, wow. And if we really look at what we attract, we'll kind of see what we've been in and with our parents and all the rest of that stuff. We'll see that we're attracting some of the same things. And we're becoming some of the same things that our parents were. Oh, silence, boy. Look at that.
That's good.
Great silence.
I had to, when you said that in church, it made me look at all the ladies that I have attracted in my life. And I always attracted somebody that I needed to feel like I needed to save because I needed to be saved myself. And
that's what I felt like I had to do. I was saving these women because they had no fathers. And I want to bring another point when you get done. Go ahead.
And the thing was, it was the fact that they had the right Christian background, religious background, that they didn't know that they need to be saved. And, and being that God has brought me from a place of healing and brokenness and better personality, that I'm attracting ladies that a little more gangster.
He attracting the hood ones.
But they realize that, okay, I need to change. And they're more serious about changing, opposed to the church folks that are like, I'm on God, I don't need to change. So I'm getting the different kinds. But go ahead, make it one.
And this is what happened. So in all those relationships, I not only became a partner, but I became a father.
A parent.
And this is what really blew my mind. Because all of them were fatherless, had no relationship with their fathers. And I'm gonna be honest. 3 out of the 4 didn't even know who their fathers were, didn't know where their father was, and things like that. So not only, I wasn't a partner to them first, I was a parent to them first. Always be a conversation of instruction. It was always be a conversation of direction. It was always be a conversation of, here we go, affirmation. It would always have to be a conversation of putting them up on a pedestal because they didn't get it from their father. It always has to be a conversation of, so it's like I became a parent before I became a partner. And that's imbalance within itself.
Yes.
You can't be a parent and a partner. A lot of times that's what's wrong with our children nowadays. Parents are trying to be their friends, their partners, and the women treating their sons like their boyfriends, and treating your daughter like your girlfriend and things of that sort. It's all out of balance. Then we try to treat them, they got to become kids again. They like, Remember, you gave me the right to be an adult. I've been grown for a long time. So when I was in these relationships, I had become more of a parent than a partner. And becoming more of a parent than a partner, it then became a way that I expected every relationship to be. I expected when I got with Dr. J, I'm your parent first, not your partner, until Dr. J told me something different. I already got a father. I don't need you to be my father.
Wow.
But I've been so used to being in that role. Yeah. I've been so used to playing a dual role that I would get to being a parent. I wouldn't even get to the partner part. Because I'd be so stuck in the parent. I'm still trying to instruct. I'm still trying to. And Dr. J would tell me, I already have a father. I'm not your child. You ain't got to talk like that. You ain't got to tell me like that. And all what I'm saying is, oh, well, every other relationship appreciated it.
Or did they just need it?
but that's not what she needs.
That's good.
So wow. Then I had to now retrain myself, rethink about what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, the way I'm saying it, the tone I'm saying it. I don't have to be what it is that everybody else needs me to be. I can actually focus on being a partner instead of a parent.
Because that's all I needed. And I promise you, it happens without you really recognizing it. And we're making light of it, but this is his truth. Like we will be talking sometimes, and he would say something in such a way as if
you see a shoulder when she do that. It's like, that's about to bother me.
No, he would say something in such a way, and I'm like, "Who? Okay, what you said was right, but I feel like either a student or a little child. Like I would feel so like a bit demeaned." And it's like, it didn't make me feel good. And so it's like, okay, either I harbor this in or reveal this to him. Listen, I don't know what it is. Maybe you're just unconscious of it, but I'm really try to help you. The way you say things.
You're trying to help. No,
I'm trying to help you.
I'm trying to help you.
The way you say things, it makes me really want to just like put up a wall or like I just want a partner. Like I got good parents. Like I got a lot of parents. Like I just want a partner. But
so I had to retrain myself.
Yes,
I had to retrain myself, rethink how I say things, and then I had to think before it actually came out my mouth, how it sounded when I roll it in my head before it comes out. So it's like this, like what? I'm just hold on, nothing. I gotta play it over in my head, rephrase it, or sound better, and things like that. But it was a learning process, and guess what? I'm still learning that.
Yes.
We've been together 2 years, and I'm still learning how to. You know what I'm saying? But when you want to better yourself, and you want to shed dysfunction, when you want to be a better you, sometimes it takes time.
Process, yeah.
How important was interjecting who you are? What if somebody said, okay, because of my family dysfunction, I can't get in a relationship because I don't know who I am. How would you answer that?
Ooh. This is a man or a female?
Both. It's angel. Multiple.
Talk for the female or talk for the male?
Okay, got you.
Cause I was about to get on the male side. Because
okay,
I just had this conversation with Pastor Rob.
Go ahead. I'll do the female.
And again, the question was, because I want to hear it directly. I don't know who I am.
Because my dysfunction, I don't know who I am. How can I get to that point? I don't know who I am. I don't know what I offer. Who am I? I don't know who I am.
You know who you are. Okay. You don't know who you are.
I'm on my way to the Radio Hall of Fame. Y'all see that?
You don't know who you are. This is the thing. If you really want to get to know who you are in a natural sense, like we just said, you have that conversation with your parents and you find out the who's, the what, the whys, the how. You want me to hit resume?
Yeah, hit resume, please. I don't.
However, for a male, alpha male, whatever kind of male, the best way to find your identity aside from your parents is through the Word of God. And it sounds so motherly or like cliches, but when you find out who you are in the Word of God, it affirms you, it validates you, and it repositions you. It does what your natural parents can't do. So it teaches you how to be the priest, be the provider, and be the protector of your home. That's what the Word of God does. Be the priest, provider, and a protector of your home. Yeah. So if you really want to know who you are, aside from I don't know who I am. First, you have to make up in your mind, I'm going to redefine who I am. I'm going to redesign who I am. I'm going to take on I'm going to do a complete transformation. I'm going to take on a new, y'all was looking over there. I'm going to take on a new, not way of living, but a new identity, because a lot of times the identity that was given to us is just real. It's just real damage. So what you have to make up your mind is you want to redefine yourself. That's the word I'm looking for. You want to redefine yourself. Find out who you are in the Word of God, because it will validate you. It will assure you. It would validate you. It would strengthen you. It will remind you. Also, not only that, but again, it would let you know that you're the priest of your home. You're the you're the protector of your home, and you're the provider of your home. All those three things, a male has a major role. And in a sense, whereas a penetrating, if he was to enter a young lady's life, well, the young lady, she gets her identity from her husband. Why is it that we take on the man last name when we get married? Because our old identity, our maiden name, that's what they call it, is gone. We take on our husband's last name. So how in the world can you even date somebody when you don't know who you are? When you're not a man who's in his word, when you're not a man who doesn't have spiritual insight and spiritual instructions, who is ordering your steps? Who is leading you? Who is guiding you? How can you date a young lady and raise kids and have kids? How can you affirm her when you haven't been affirmed? How can you validate her when you haven't been validated? How can you lift her up when really through the word you haven't been lifted up? How can you be a priest when you haven't been instructed how to be a priest? Provider or the protector of your home. And you trying to talk to a young lady who gets her identity from you?
Hold on, before I want to ask you one more question. Then, how do you feel about hyphenated names?
Honestly,
is that a form of I'm not gonna submit?
Honestly, that whole hyphenated thing, I was just oblivious to it because I kind of like my last name, and I'm thinking, when we do this thing, how I'm gonna do it? Man, myself, if you have a hyphenated last name, it's either two things. You just don't want to, take your husband's last name, or you are a known artist, you are a known figure, and people know you by this last name, and you want to add that last name to it, because if you change it, people know me as Jazz Perham. But if I change it to Jasmine Jenkins, it's like, who is that? I wouldn't be so accessible or reachable.
I thought it'd be Sam's.
I'm sorry, it was just an example. Sam's. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll say.
Use the right name when you give an example.
I'll say Sam's. But no, if it's in that sense, there's nothing wrong with it because people know you by that name. People do it every day. Celebrities every day. However, some men find that to be a major problem. Like you're not gonna. No, it's all or nothing. Go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
I forgot what the first question was because we got this hyphenated name thing.
The first question was, what was the first question? The radio people. What was the
first? The hyphenated name.
No, before the hyphenated name.
Okay, what like if a young lady or a young male was to say,
identity,
I don't know who
that's
I
what
am.
it is.
I don't know who I am.
A lot of our problem is we have a lot of UFOs, unidentified, fragile people. Object. You know why? Because we walk around and really don't know who we are, and it's become such a norm for us that we then would take on the identity of whoever we're with, or we take on identity of the group. That's why we have a lot of people getting involved in a lot of organizations and groups because they don't have an identity for themselves. So now I have to get attached to. I have to get attached to the Muslims. I have to get attached to the Masons. I have to get attached to a sorority. I have to get attached to a fraternity because now I got to be who I don't know who I am, but let me attach to something. We met someone just yesterday, Dr. J and I, and after conversating with the person and all that, after the person left and we left their presence and all that stuff, we looked at each other and said, that person have no idea who they are because everything they said is about what they do, not who they are. And a lot of times we attach ourselves to what we do, what we have become, we make that our identity. But being in the army is not your identity. Being on the radio is not your identity.
Political activist, that's not who you are.
But we make that who we are because we don't know. The problem with that is a lot of time we think we find our identity in the church first. We don't.
No.
We should find our identity in the home first. If a father knows who he really is, and if a husband knows who he really is, he has no problem with teaching his children not only who they are, but then his wife has no problem with identifying herself with who he is first if she know who she is. A lot of times people get married and the wife don't know who she is and they hide themselves behind the husband if he's a pastor, if he's a minister, if he's a political activist, if he's somebody. So that's my husband. I'm going to say it like this. A lot of people say, what church you go to? Oh, I go to Pastor Rob Church. No, you don't. Don't identify yourself with me. You go to Destiny Worship Life Changing Center. But we think because who we're connected to, that becomes who we are. And that's not the absolute truth. So then we have families where the father hasn't affirmed. She said that's what the word does, right? Before we get to the word, the father hasn't affirmed the daughter. The father hasn't deposited into the son. The father has been a great example for the wife. And now we have all these people not sure who they really are. And now they got to find a way. And we wonder why, what happened to Lil Jojo? He didn't come home. He 2 hours late. Well, Lil Jojo trying to find his identity with the group of guys that's down in the basement next door. You understand what I'm saying? So then we then start seeing patterns of unidentified people, like you call walking zombies. They don't know who they are. They don't know they purpose and living and things of that sort. But it starts in the home. And if we got the proper placement in the home with the husband and wife, mother and father, then we can definitely instill in our children, pour into them, and give them what they need for their identity. What were you going to say?
We are in a generation who don't know who in the world we are. We are living in a generation who don't know who in the world we are. So much so, we have young girls trying to reinvent themselves based off of the young lady on TV or Instagram or Facebook. We have young men not even wanting to be men anymore, or trying to be the next man or the next rapper or the next whoever they see on TV or on social media, because we don't have a great sense of who we are. We are in this day and age, most of all, we are in you will see it on commercials, and it will consist of this. Get your free trial to know your identity, to check your ancestry. Why are we hearing so much about finding your ancestry on a computer now than before? Why do we hear so much commercials talking about check your ancestry? I thought you were supposed to check your ancestry through your ancestors or through somebody in your family. But we go through sites and webs, and I want to figure out why in the world we got to go through a computer or a website to figure out who we are. That's a false sense of identity. You're supposed to be able to find out who you are from before the word of God, but through your parents, through your grandparents. You mean you can't talk to nobody? Find out who you are. You get your first trial, ancestry.
So then when it comes to hyphenated last names, I'm like you, Minister Corey. I got a problem with a hyphenated last name. And when I give marriage counseling to couples, and when I marry people, I say the same thing in front of everybody, and I say the same thing in the counseling sessions. That when it comes to first off, that daughter, that woman finds her identity in her father first.
Yeah.
That's who she is first. Her father is her first covering. Her father is her first priest. Her father should be her first provider. Her father should be her first protector. Her father should be the first man that she sees at what she should look for in a husband. Her father should be the first man that she see pray. Her father should be the first example that she see go before God for the family. Her father should be the first person, the first man that she sees, so she would know what to expect from a man.
Yes.
Her father should be the first man to open her door. Man to pull her seat up. Her father should be the first man that affirms her. Her father should be the first man that pours into her. Her father should be the first man that gives her a platform. I'll be honest. Her father should be the first man that does so that's why when it comes to now the transfer of power, when it comes to the transfer of covering, the transfer of authority, that's why a father just can't take any old nappy head guy you bring into the house, because he's transferring all that to the person, the man that you're saying, this I want to be my husband. So now when it comes to a husband, that's why the father walks the woman down the aisle. The father gives over his right. His right to be her covering. His right to be her priest, provider, protector, his right to be all of that. And he's now transferred at the ceremony. He's transferring it to a man. That's why the man needs to come to the father and say, is it okay if I take your daughter's hand in marriage? Did you not know? I've already asked her father. All 12 of her fathers I already asked them. You know why? Because I know the importance of actually getting the transfer from the father. And I've already had these conversations and got the okay from father, mamas, siblings, and everybody else. But so when the transfer happens, See, if the daughter finds her identity in her own identity within herself, but then finds her identity within her father, then now the father transferred the authority over to the husband. Now she hides herself and finds her identity also in the husband that she's about to marry. Hence why she loses the father last name and takes on the husband's last name. Now, if there's a hyphenation, like she said, it could be because, you've known or people know you about a certain thing, different story, and I understand that. However, sometimes women have been taught. I'm gonna be honest. Some women just have been taught, not talking about Dr. J, but some women just been taught, don't you take that man's last name. And normally it's from a family of women.
Yeah.
It's from a family of women that has taught them to be independent. It becomes a power struggle. Don't you give in to him. You stay a Smith, because us Smiths are strong women. Us Smiths are. Do you want to be known for just a family of strong women, or a family of women that actually know how to take care of their house, their husband? They can be strong and independent, but not just, I don't need a man and I don't need. No, you don't want to be known for that. So when a wife takes on her husband's name without it being hyphenated, it says a lot to the man. It says a lot that not only does she check on my name, but she actually trusts me.
Yeah.
But that's why your last name got to be good. It got to be clean. Come on, y'all. The last name has to be, you can't be, he a hoe. You about to be Sam's. Oh, my Lord, you better run. Did I say hoe? Can I say hoe? Okay. Well, I done said it 12 times now. I'm sorry. Bleep me. Bleep. But, and so now, but when there's a blemished last name or a last name that's not credible, a woman may not want to take on the last name that's not credible. But it's up to the man to make sure the last name is credible, make sure the last name is clean. And I believe the Sam's last name is pretty clean.
Yeah. Oh, it better be, G.
Yeah, if not, you're going to find out afterward. I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me ask this question, because I know we're winding down. We got about, the 2 hours go real quick.
Did.
Yeah.
Okay. It is important for people to know their identity.
Yes.
Being in a relationship, I think it's just important for the other person to know their person's identity.
Both sides, yes.
So you guys are about to get married. And first, I want you to tell me how important it is for the partner to know the identity of the other partner. But I want you to introduce me to Dr. J like I've never met her. And I want you to introduce me to Pastor Sam's like I've never met him.
You would think this man has been doing this for years, right? Like
my first, do you know, people of God, who my first interview on radio was?
No.
Pastor Sam's.
All right.
And brought him to tears with my interview and my questions.
Yeah.
So it was a revelation. Yeah. 102.8. Well, plug, because they know it.
Right. That's why I said W. I stopped talking.
But so how important is you to know your partner's identity? First part of the question. Second part, introduce Pastor Sam's to me like I've never met him, and introduce Dr. J like I've never met her.
You want to go with how important it is to know your partner's identity?
I'll go with that first, and I'm going to let you do it then.
Okay.
How important? It's very important to know your partner's identity, because, I'm sure the couple aspires to have children. You want to know different things to counteract, to block from your children. And also, if things come to them, you know where it came from, and you can hit it on there. I bind this in the name of Jesus, this bloodline tie curse that runs through the generation from my child. You can hit it on the head. On the head.
What?
No! Second time, no!
The sign say no profanity zone.
I know.
Devil is a liar.
You can hit it on the head and instead of saying, whatever going on with my child, Lord help him. You have a more of a direct prayer, and it's more powerful than indirectly. It's powerful to know the different things, because as a woman, whatever penetrates his life is going to come to the woman. You need to know what you're setting yourself in line to receive. Let's say, and he does not, thank goodness, he had an unclean last name. So that means I have to get ready to defend him. I have to get ready to be on defense all the time. I have to be ready. I have to be guarded all the time, because I don't know
the last name.
Who
you married to?
My husband. What's his name? Husband. Where's he from?
You know who he is.
Many places. You know he's been around. It has to be one of those things. So I think it's important for you to know. It's so much important for you to know because it either makes the woman on guard or it makes her that much more confident. I should be proud to say, this is when that time comes, this is my husband. I shouldn't be like, that Negro over there, and I'm with him. Like, it shouldn't be like that. I should be proud to say that. Knowing his identity is so much more important, not just for myself again, as I said before, but it will be important for kids to come. It'll be so much important for kids to come meeting people. After that, hey, how you doing? Do you want your husband one? And it's like, oh, nope, can't talk. You don't want those kind of things. Like, and I used to date people where I had to defend. Like, I couldn't trust that if I was to say yes, to accepting their last name, I knew what I was getting ready for. I would have to be on defense. I would have to be such on the guard. I would have to be like numb because I knew I would hear so many rumors about this individual. I knew I would just have to be prepared, like have like major tough. That's not the life I want to live. So knowing their identity is going to be so much more important. Not only, let's say he forgets, there's a time when the enemy wants to attack his identity. It's important for me to know because I can reaffirm and I can throw who he is and who God created him to be back in his face. No, I know doubt is in your face right now, but this is who you are. So I think it's important for me to know this, or any woman.
We didn't get into this, although we had.
No, we did. That's what I said.
So this was one of our notes that we were going to get into. In order for me to, let me tell you how I started to know who she was and her identity. Of course, it started with questions and dating and going to dinner. Everybody know I like to eat. So going to dinners, going to lunch, going to get cups of coffee and sitting around talking, things like that. But I went a step further, and we were going to talk about this if we had the time. To knowing a person is to ask about their parents. How was home for them? Are your parents still together? How are your parents? You know what I started doing? When I get around her parents, I listen to all the stories they tell about her. I listen to how they talk about her. I listen to how they talk about themselves. How was their upbringing? And that's how I get who the core of her really is. It's through hearing her parents talk. Ask questions about her parents, where they come from. How is your parents' background? Because it then tells me what you were exposed to. It tells me what your experiences were. It tells me what your hardships were. It tells me what your victories were, your triumphs. It tells me a lot about a person when you talk to their parents or ask questions about their parents. So not only talking, communication is very key, and being honest with who you really are with your partner. If you be really honest about who you are, the things you did in life, the things you failed at and things like that, your vulnerabilities and all the rest of that stuff, and learning that part of it, go outside of that. Now let's talk to the parents and things of that sort. So after finding out who she really was, I had to go back to God and saying, God, I need to know. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Give me a sign. But I once I found out who she really was, and I had to make the decision of, okay, is this somebody I really want to be with? All her, what comes, and same thing with me. All what comes with me, what comes with her, all of the hurts, all of the pains that come with me, come with her. You got, am I gonna weigh them out? Am I gonna be there to support her while she's going through healing? And is she gonna be there to support me while I'm going through a healing process and things of that sort? Because let's be honest, yes, we want to be 100% whole when we get married, but how many know there's still sometimes underlying issues and things that are not just dealt with, personal things that are not just handled properly. So then now you're sometimes through marriage and relationship, you have to go through those things together, when you become one. So when I learned who she was, and it's like, all right, she come from a pretty decent family, and she look crazy, but she come from, she got a sane part about it too. So looking all up in the air, just keep looking at no profanities. But yeah, and once you learn who the person is, then you can make a better judgment if this is the person you really want to be with.
Who is Dr. J?
Do you want to go with who is Pastor Rob first?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I can't stand you. Who is Dr. J? If you didn't know her, I would say, even though we're not legally married, I would say she's my wife already. I would say that she's one of the best women that I've ever met in my life. I would say that she's anointed. I would say that she hears from God. I would say that God uses her tremendously in a way that he doesn't use anyone else. I would say, and I tell her this every day, you're the best looking woman I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Can I don't know if I say this. I tell her every day too, I think you're the sexiest woman I've ever seen in my life.
Ooh, what you told me that?
Don't I tell her that every day, either it's through a text or something.
Phone call.
I would say that she is a woman like none other. I would say that I'm glad I haven't met her until now, because now I'm prepared to be with her. I would say, come on, good, give me some down. I would say that God has fashioned her in a way that he hasn't fashioned anyone else. I would say that God has given her things that I need that I've never had before. I would say what God has deposited in her would definitely benefit me. I would say she's a woman of integrity. She's a gracious woman, a graceful woman. She's a woman that carries herself like a woman, just don't push certain buttons. We all have some buttons that we don't want pushed. But I would say not only is she beautiful outwardly, she's such a beauty inwardly. And when you get to know her, and I must say it took me a while to really get to know her. And I say, I think I kind of know you a little bit now. You said what?
I'm sorry.
And when you really get to know her, and as I got to know her, I would say she's even better looking inwardly than she is outwardly. I would say that God really took his time with her in everything she's been through. It's for such a time as this that she has a great calling on her life, that she is a woman that God's hand is on. And not only is God's hand on, but she has the heart of God. And any woman that has the heart of God can only be a benefit to a man like me.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And that would be Dr. J. Pearl.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, Dr. J. Sams.
Yeah. All right. Now, I don't know if I your turn. That's
But no.
good.
We still have the time?
Yeah, we got time.
Okay.
I don't know if you can top that though.
Oh yes. Like I feel like I don't want to get it wrong. But no, when I was first presenting myself to Pastor Rob, let me say this. I told him, and he's my witness, that I am a beautiful mess. Like I have a lot of beautiful ways, but there's some ways about there's just a mess. But that's you have to be honest and accountable with your partner so they can identify when that mess starts to surface, so they can help you. Okay, the mess is showing. Come on, let's clean you, But anyway, who is Pastor Rob? Pastor Rob, one of the first things I noticed about him, he has so much integrity. He has so much integrity. He is anointed. I mean, I'll just say it just to go through the emotion. But he has integrity. He's anointed. He's a man that really hears from God. He has the heart of God. He really does, and he has a heart for God's people, and it is genuine. Like seriously, he loves to activate different things or to awaken different people or God's people in general. He is a man he's on a mission, and his mission is kingdom. He's a man who loves the word of God. Like even through conversation, he's going to give you a parable, a Bible scripture, and sometimes I'd be like, okay, you could have said that in a normal way. Like
she literally says that. Did you have to say that about
he's
Adam?
Like, yeah, because when Daniel was in the lion's den, it's parable too. And I'm like, Pastor Rob,
eating a sandwich.
Okay, I get it. I'll just get the fry. It's simple, But no, he has a genuine heart. He has a genuine soul. I feel like he is someone who, he's like a little dynamite. Like when I just see him sometimes, I just laugh. It's just like, who do he think he is? But no, he recognizes who he is already. He's attractive. He's classy. He's sophisticated. He said, I don't know about all that.
He's
sophisticated. Right. He got that light thing going on. But no, he is so loving. And he has a heart of gold. He really does. He loves unconditionally, not just for me, but for people in general. He gives chances. I have to learn from him daily. for as far as myself, I got to give people chances because I only give you one, and the rest is up to God. Like he's so aware, he's so conscious of not just God but people in the agenda of God, and not just that, but as a partner, he's so conscious to me. He is so he's like my mini coach. He's so aware of me, he's so conscious to me, he's so considerate to me as his partner. He doesn't get jealous or envy me in no kind of way. It's so many things I can say. He's I don't
Well,
know.
say them because I'm listening.
He's a
Right.
unique.
He looked at me once like this.
He's a unique individual, and I can say I've never encountered no one like him. Seriously, he's really unique, and I thought he was a person that he was trying to impress me, but no, he is what you get. What you see is what you get. This is no facade. This is nothing he just put on as far as the face. When I say he has a crazy ability of integrity, he is a man of integrity. Like he does not try to deceive. He does not try to give different messages. Like seriously, and I trust his heart, and I trust the heart that God gave him regarding me. He's amazing. He's amazing.
Wow, people of God, what an amazing show. Next week will be part 2 of the series, the Adam family, talking about generational dysfunction.
We're going to talk about that, Minister Corey.
Again, I want to thank my special guest, Pastor Robinson, Pastor Robinson II, and his fiance, Minister Jazz. I know you guys was blessed. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Please go to my GoFundMe page and support the Solution Radio Show. Again, just make a quick announcement to everybody in the spoken word community. I love you guys. You guys are amazing talent. Everybody that's ever been on my show has been amazing. Just as I announced in the beginning of the show, there will be no more spoken word Thursdays, but my platform is open to all spoken word artists. If you would like to book a show, the show is $50 that way. Will be no misunderstandings. I won't hurt anybody's feelings, nor will I lose any friendships or anything. I thank God for all the people that has helped in the spoken word community, been on my show, for all the blessings. Everybody that's been here is tremendous talent. You guys, the stars of your sky. Your stars, your platform, and I thank you guys for blessing my show, and I thank everyone that assisted in my show, all the work we've done. So from now on, any spoken word artists want to be on my show, you're welcome. I'll give you the platform, but it'll be $50 a show. That way, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to do, is open.
And let's support this ministry. Amen. It really is a ministry that help people and look for solutions. I will personally be donating on GoFundMe. So look for my donation. Let's support Minister Corey Wright because he's doing a great job.
Yes.
I appreciate everyone. God bless everybody. Always be the solution that you want people to be the change you're looking for. And remember, God loves you and everyone in the solution loves you. Peace.
Get on board. You don't need no ticket. You just get on board. There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind just to save his own. Have pity on those whose chances are thinner, for there's no hiding place from the kingdom.